Hi, my name is Michael Hasday. I'm very excited to present my paper, Running It Twice or Thrice, Doubleheader and Tripleheader Baseball Arbitration. A few things about myself. I'm an attorney with experience in arbitrations. I'm currently a lecturer at DeSales University, where my research focuses on the institutional design of decision-making bodies. And a while ago, I was a semi-professional poker player. Now, all these things might seem unrelated, but they all came together in coming up with the idea that I'll be presenting today, which is a reform of Major League Baseball's arbitration process. Imagine you're on the game show Heads or Tails. The rules of this game show are quite simple. The game show host flips a coin. Heads, you get $1 million. Tails, you get nothing. Being a risk-averse sort, you might want to sell your spot on this game show for your expected value, which is $500,000. But under the rules, that is not permitted. However, you are allowed an option that is almost as good. You could flip the coin 100 times with heads proportionally less rewarded. For example, you could flip the coin twice, and then each heads would be worth $500,000. You could flip the coin 10 times, and then each heads would be worth $100,000, or you could flip the coin 100 times, and then each head would be worth $10,000. Tails under each of these versions is worth nothing. Pursuant to the probability theorem called the law of large numbers, the more times you flip the coin, the better the chances you'll get an award that approximates the $500,000 expected value. For example, if you flip the coin twice, you have a 1 in 2 chance of getting an award within $400,000 to $600,000. Your odds go to 66% if you flip the coin 10 times, and they go all the way up to 96% if you flip the coin 100 times. Now, while the game show Heads or Tails is fictional, the same principle is used in real life, and I'm talking about high-stakes cash poker games. The procedure is called running it twice, and the purpose of the procedure is to produce awards that reflect the odds of the situation. Another way to use it is that the procedure lessens the variance of the awards. So let's take a look at this slide. So in this hand, player 1 was a statistical favorite over player 2, 71 to 29. Player 1 has a bottom 2 pair, while player 2 has a top pair. This hand was based on a real hand that was played on the television show High Stakes Poker. Player 1 was Jennifer Harmon. Player 2 was Daniel Negreanu. And they mutually agreed to run the remaining cards twice. And so this is how the running it twice procedure works. Some casinos allow that once at least one of the players is all in, meaning strategic moves left, the players can mutually agree to run the remaining cards twice, and then half the pot is awarded to the winner of each run. So this could result in a split pot if both players win one of the 2 runs. Now, in this hand, Daniel Negreanu and Jennifer Harmon agreed to run the remaining 2 cards twice. So what that did is it didn't change Jennifer Harmon's statistical advantage, 71-29. It just increased the odds that the outcome would reflect this statistical advantage. Okay. Let me go back. So my paper is based on the same concept. I apply it to another situation where the competitors are all in and millions of dollars can be at stake, and that's the Major League Baseball arbitration process. I propose 2 reforms based on this procedure, and I call these reforms doubleheader baseball arbitration and tripleheader baseball arbitration. Okay, a little bit about background of Major League Baseball's arbitration procedure. Major League Baseball uses final offer arbitration, or FOA, to set the salaries of players between their 3rd and 6th years of service and certain players after their 2nd year of service. In FOA, the team and the player each submits a proposed salary number, and the arbitrator, in Major League Baseball's case, a panel of 3 arbitrators, is required to select one of the numbers as the award with no compromises allowed. The rationale for FOA is that it incentivizes each party to submit a reasonable number so that it will be selected by the arbitrator. And the submitted numbers are closer, settlement is more likely. Settlement is highly valued in the Major League Baseball context because hearings can damage the player-team relationship. So FAA is contrast with conventional arbitration, in which the arbitrator is free to award any number as the award, regardless of what the parties have proposed. So this, in contrast, can incentivize the parties to submit unreasonable numbers in the belief that the arbitrator is going to just split the difference. FOA is also a fast and simple process, which is important to Major League Baseball because salaries have to be set before the season starts. Okay, so for decades, this process has worked really, really well for Major League Baseball, with the vast majority of cases settling and both teams and players largely supportive of the procedure. But no more. The procedure has broken down as teams have learned how to game the process. Now, both the players and the teams clearly and correctly perceive that the teams have the upper hand. So for example, in August 2018, prominent baseball agent Jeffrey Berry wrote a memo that was widely circulated, lamented that the players are now victimized by MLB's arbitration process as the teams have successfully stagnated arbitration salaries. In March 2018, Tony Clark, executive director of Major League Baseball's Players Association, tweeted a press release blasting the league for making a sport of trying to suppress arbitration salaries and undermining a process designed to produce fair settlement. And this shows a blatant lack of respect for our players, the game, and the arbitration process itself. This press release was in response to an article in The Athletic, which reported that Major League Baseball's Labor Department was awarding a toy championship belt to the team that was most successful at keeping arbitration salaries down. In that same article in The Athletic, it reported this statistic, that Major League Baseball's Labor Department was boasting that teams were settling at the target numbers it had set for them 2 out of 3 times, significantly better than even just a few years ago. Recent empirical work has also backed up the notion that players are getting too little money in the arbitration process. Each year, the Major League Baseball Trade Rumors website issues arbitration projected salaries based on what has happened in previous years. Daniel Epstein compared these projected salaries to the actual salaries the players got through the arbitration process in 2018 and 2019. He found that in 2018, the players settled for $150,000 on average, lower than their projections, and in 2019, it was $90,000 less than their projections. So, what do the players say about this? Well, the player agents think that the solution is to have greater coordination among the players to match the coordination among the teams. But that's not going to work. First, it's not practical. There are 30 stable teams. You compare that with the more than 150 arbitration-eligible players each year and the associated about 60 player agents. Second, it doesn't really go to the heart of the problem. It doesn't go to what the team's core advantage is under this process. The root of the problem is that because the award is a binary choice, FOA results in too much variance, with potentially million-dollar swings in the outcome. This high variance disadvantages the players, who are generally less willing than teams to take risk. It is much easier for teams to play for the long run and take smart million-dollar gambles because of their deeper pockets and the ability to spread risk over arbitrations with multiple players over multiple years. Now, this didn't matter for decades because the teams just weren't taking advantage of the process. But no more. With all these smart analytics people and all the teams' front offices, they are now trying to maximize the advantage they have. So, for instance, now all 30 teams, or nearly all 30 teams, take a file and trial approach to arbitration. So what is a file and trial approach? A file and trial approach means that the teams are saying to the players that after the date when both sides have to submit their number to the arbitrator, after that date, the teams are saying that we are going to refuse to negotiate with you from that date to approximately 1 month later when the actual arbitration hearing takes place. So the players know that if they don't settle by the date, they're going to go to a risky and often expensive hearing. So this pressures the players to settle on the team's terms before that date. So a testament to the success of this strategy is that despite its use, the settlement rate is still very high. In 2018, the settlement rate was 89% among arbitration-eligible players. In 2019, it was 95%, and in 2020, it was 92%. So, in sum, while the original proponents of FOA believed that the all or nature feature of the procedure would sort of scare both sides to reach a fair settlement, it is clear that what's happening now is that the all or nature feature of this procedure is acting like a cudgel, forcing the players to settle on the team's terms. So is there a solution that could keep the core benefits of FOA while leveling the proverbial playing field between the players and the teams? And because I'm up here and because I'm presenting this paper, obviously I think the answer is yes, and I propose 2 solutions. My first solution is doubleheader baseball arbitration, or DHBA. So DHBA plays out like regular FOA, except that 2 arbitrators, independently of each other, decide which of the parties' numbers to award. If both arbitrators agree on a number, then that is the award. But if they disagree, then the award is the midway point between the 2 parties' numbers. So let's illustrate this with the infamous Yankees-Dellin Betances arbitration in 2017. In this arbitration, Betances asked for $5 million. The Yankees countered with $3 million. The 3 arbitrators deciding it collectively sided with the Yankees. So Betances' salary for the 2017 season was set at $3 million. If DHBA was in place, there would be 2 arbitrators instead of the 3 that Major League Baseball uses. If both 2 arbitrators sided with the Yankees, Betances' salary would be $3 million. If both 2 arbitrators sided with Betances, his salary would be $5 million. And if they split, Betances' salary for the 2017 season would be $4 million. In another variation, triple header baseball arbitration, or THBA. In THBA, 3 arbitrators, independently of each other, decide which of the parties' numbers to award. If all 3 arbitrators agreed a number, then that is the award. But if the arbitrators split 2-1, the award is set at the applicable 2/3 point between the parties' numbers. By running it twice or thrice, double-header baseball arbitration and triple-header baseball arbitration will lessen the variance of the award outcomes. By lessening the variance of the award outcomes, it will produce awards that are substantially more accurate, more fair, and more predictable than Major League Baseball's current arbitration procedure. Okay, so to illustrate this, let's return to the Betances Yankees arbitration once more. So, and let's also assume that there are 5 possible arbitrators that could hear this case, and that 3 of these arbitrators would side with the Yankees, and then 2 of these arbitrators would side with Betances. Therefore, the average award of these 5 arbitrators would be $3.8 million. Now, if you had 1 arbitrator determining this case, that arbitrator's average error would be a whopping $960,000. And this average error only improves a little bit if you do what Major League Baseball does and have 3 arbitrators deciding the case collectively. In that case, it just is the average error just reduced by $40,000, and it goes down to $920,000. And I'll remind you, error equals the absolute value of the difference between an award and $3.8 million. Now, if you use DHBA, the average error is markedly reduced. It's down to $480,000, which is half the error of having one arbitrator deciding the case, and a little less than half of having 3 arbitrators deciding it collectively, like Major League Baseball currently does. Now, under THBA, the results are even better. If you employ THBA, the average error is down to $320,000, which is 1/3 of the average error of having one arbitrator deciding the case, and a little less than 1/3 of the average error of having 3 arbitrators deciding it collectively. So in short, what DHBA and THBA do is it increases the odds that the arbitration award will come close to the average award of the 5 arbitrators. So if this was applied in the Yankees-Betances arbitration, it would make it less risky for Betances to go to an arbitration hearing, which will increase his leverage in settlement negotiations. Now, of course, there are differences between DHBA and THBA. So Major League Baseball was going to implement this procedure. You save money with DHBA because there's one less arbitrator. You'll have to figure out whether the accuracy boost of THBA is worth the extra arbitrator. Of course, there's already the cost of 3 arbitrators is already built into the system. Another difference is that in THBA, there will always be a winner and loser, while in DHBA, there will be ties. Some poker players like to run it 3 times instead of 2 times in order to get that winner or loser. But in the Major League Baseball context, maybe ties are beneficial for player-team relations. Okay, so there's another more subtle advantage of using DHBA and THBA in that it will allow the player to submit an optimal number as opposed to a number that might maximize their chance of winning their particular arbitration, but is a loser in the long run because when they win, they simply do not win enough. And there is evidence that the players are indeed playing it safe in the numbers they are submitting. So in 2018 and 2019, the players nominally won 18 out of the 32 arbitration hearings. But when you look deeper into the numbers, you see that in fully half of those wins, the players submitted a number that was even less or equal to their arbitration projections. Now, so if you use DHBA and THBA, it will give the players confidence to submit an optimal number because the risk is spread over 2 or 3 arbitrations. By spreading the risk this way, that favors the risk-averse party or the less resource party, which in this case is the players. Indeed, some of the most famous and well-resourced poker players, such as Phil Ivey and Barry Greenstein, refuse to run it 2 or 3 times with their peers because they know that their ability to take on risk gives them an advantage that the running it 2 or running it 3 times procedure mitigates. Okay, so in conclusion, with the Major League Baseball's collective bargaining agreement set to expire in 2021, my proposal should go a long way in alleviating player concerns about the fairness of Major League Baseball's arbitration process. I also think this is a win-win for both the players and the teams. Right now, the teams are getting heavily criticized by the players because of how aggressive they are playing the arbitration game. But I think this criticism is misguided. The teams are simply playing within the rules that are currently in place. The problem is with the rules themselves. They are simply not fair. But if the teams implement this procedure, they'll show the players they want the system to be fair, and I think that will reduce a lot of the rancor that is currently surrounding this issue. So with that, I want to thank MIT for me to present here, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Really fantastic research here. Broader question about baseball's a little bit broken labor model right now. Do you think players would benefit from entering into a salary capped system as a whole if it required a significant salary floor as well for each of the MLB's clubs?
Well, right. So everyone knows all the sort of the controversies with the player salaries and how teams are manipulating service time and how older free agents are simply not getting what they think they should get because players their most productive years are now in their first 7 years. So there's a lot of issues on the table. And to bluntly answer your question, I don't know the answer to your question, and I think a lot of these issues are very complicated and are very hard to implement and would take a lot of negotiating. I think what is the beauty of my proposal is its simplicity. My proposal is not complicated. There's nothing for the players and teams to stop them from just implementing it. So I don't have a better answer for the salary cap question, but I think my proposal is just could take sort of one of those issues off the table.
When free agency first started under Marvin Miller, he was an economist, and he deliberately wanted to have a scarce number of free agents because he felt that would drive up the cost of labor. And what's evolved, though, is the owners have now figured out that by the time you reach 6 years service time, players are in the downside. So given that, what's really happening now, what about the players coming in and saying, look, no more arbitration, you're a free agent. We're not going to do this. What's the likelihood you think of that happening? Just gut arbitration and, you're no cap, no floor. Just let the free market play out itself. Do you think that's a possibility?
I don't think that is going to happen because the players, for a long time, and still now to some degree, like the arbitration process. They're supportive of it. And I don't think they would want to lose it because if you look at the entire arc, you see that it has worked for the players. I just think in recent years, because the teams have gotten so much smarter, like analytically wise, it's broken down. So I think the players are going to be very, very reluctant to give up on arbitration, but I do think they are looking for a way to again make it perceived as fair.
All right, so great idea. Quick question from the side of the more people that you have involved in the process, right? You have the option of 2, the option of 3. You're lowering that risk, yes?
It becomes less risky for the players if right now Major League Baseball does use 3 arbitrators, but they have to just decide it as an entity. You lower the risk by having 2 and 3 that can decide it independently. Yeah.
So did you look at 4 or 5?
Yeah. So obviously, the more you have, the lower your risk. Like in poker, sometimes they run it 4 times, sometimes they run it 5 times. I stuck with 3 because right now they're using 3. So it's I'm basically saying this is not going to cost you any more money, but it gets even better the more you use. Right.
Thank you.
Great job, Michael. I just had a quick question. Wondering, are there any learnings from the NHL system? Because I believe the arbitrators in the NHL can actually pick a number in between the player and the club's number. Did you take that into account?
Yes. So the NHL uses conventional arbitration, and I believe there's even some other differences between. I'm not an expert on the NHL. I know they use conventional arbitration. I know the settlement rate is also lower with the NHL settlement rate has historically been lower. It's been considered like at 75%. I discussed under conventional arbitration, the parties that are sort of incentivized to be unreasonable, because the arbitrator can pick any number, and there's this belief out there that the arbitrator is going to just split the difference. So having that sort of wide gap, probably harms the settlement rate. But my proposals could also work, I think, for the NHL, who would probably be scared off of final offer arbitration because of that all or nothing feature.
Hey, thanks for the presentation. That proposal makes a lot of sense. I'm just a little bit confused as to how exactly the teams are gaming the system. Is it to do with the fact that they have less risk because they go through so many arbitrations that they feel they can stretch the ask so that they may lose more than 50% of the time but still have a higher expected value? Is that what's going on, or what exactly are the teams doing?
Okay, so in the old days, the good old days where everyone was happy, so basically the players would submit a number, the teams would submit a number, and then what was happened was, why go to hearing? Why don't we just pick a number right in the middle, and we'll settle on that. And so everyone was happy. The teams are not doing that anymore. They're driving these sort of hard bargains. They're using this file and trial approach, saying, we're not scared to go to a hearing anymore. We're not playing nice and just kind of picking a number in the middle. No, you settle at our number, or we're going to a hearing. So that is basically the approach the teams are taking.
All right, last question.
Have you looked at the probabilities that the 2 or 3 arbitrators would actually disagree on which choice they have? Because I like your idea, but I feel like one potential issue would be unless the salaries are pretty far apart, it seems likely that the judges would disagree on the same number because they're working with the same data, and then it would be the same case as the current system.
Well, I would love to get, that data actually exists, and I would love to get a hold of it. So in the collective bargaining agreement, it says that the individual votes of the arbitrators are released to the players and teams like a month or 2 months after the hearings take place. So that data exists. It's just confidential, and I would love to get a hold of it.
All right, thank you very much. Give it up for Michael, please. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.